Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, everybody. My name is JeffLightsyJr, and thank you all for joining me right here on Victor Formation. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Drop your comments in the comment section because I haven't been on here in a while, and I see some of your comments already. Thank you to Mr. Palmer. Yes, Veronica already on top of it. Who's the best quarterback in the SWAC? That question was answered tonight. There was a bunch of questions that were answered tonight about who was the best team, maybe even the best quarterback. So much to discuss. Drop your comments in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button. We're going to take a quick break. After the bumper, we're going to discuss Jackson State, their victory over Alabama State in what I deem the game of the year in the SWAC. We'll be right back after the bumper. Stay tuned. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Let me see your comments in the chat. And my name is Jeff Lightsy Jr. This is Victor Formation Sports Show right here on Jeff Lightsy Jr. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your content. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button as you come into the chat. Let everybody know what is going on. What is going on? Thank you, D-Bill, for enjoying the channel. Thank you for joining us. Andrew Body lost. But hey, we ain't going to play with Andrew Body like that. Pause. We're not going to play like that young man didn't just lay it all out on the line, like how he didn't just ball out. We're going to get into that because Andrew Body, he made himself some money today. He made a claim that he is one of the best players, not just in the SWAC. No, we're not just going to limit him to the SWAC. He's one of the best players in all of FCS football. He's one of the best players in the country. Yes, Mr. JSU, what a game. It was a game. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button. What a game. So shout out to Bama State. But, bro, what they going to say now? Andrew Body's 0-3. Good game by both, but I don't want to hear no moral victories from Bama State either. You're either first or you're last. Okay, I mean, hey, this is very true. This is very true. The love shout out to the Ace Boone. Veronica says Coach Quinn is the GOAT. Yes, Coach Quinn came up with some big time plays, drew up some big time plays, but the players had to execute. Now, let's get into the game. If you didn't watch the game, JSU played Alabama State, and they won 38-34 in an instant classic. Andrew Body accounted for 348 yards passing and had 93 yards on the ground. Andrew Body by himself almost accounted for almost 500 yards of total offense. That's why I'm saying, like, you can make fun of Bama State all you want. You ain't going to make fun of Andrew Body because the young man laid it all out on the field. 349 yards passing, 93 on the ground, and still walked away with a loss. Well, that's because on the other side, JoCobian Morgan had 187 yards passing. Doesn't sound like much, but 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns for JoCobian Morgan. Travis Terrell had 77 yards. JoCobian added 66 on the ground for himself, but those 4 touchdown passes were the thing of beauty from JoCobian, including the last one, the one at the very end, the one that you had to have to Nate Rembert with or so left on the clock. Only gave them 50 seconds, and that was critical because you saw they needed all 50 seconds. They needed all 50 seconds to get down essentially to the 1-yard line, but then to get stopped by Jackson State in just the thriller of a game. I mean, this game was everything that you wanted from it. It was the 2 best teams in the SWAC coming in, playing like the 2 best teams in the SWAC, and then delivering like 2 of the best teams in the SWAC. Now, Veronica already see, because I know some people was going to have this take. The refs tried to take it. No, the refs got it right. Now, here was the interesting thing because I wasn't in the building, so I know people that were at the game may have a different perspective than the people who watched it from home. They watched on ESPNU like me. Because the refs, the audio, everything was kind of janky a little bit, we couldn't hear the refs on the broadcast. So on the broadcast, you're watching the game, but you can't hear the referees at all because the system's janky. I don't know what to tell you. You couldn't hear them at all. And I want to just show you these stats because both teams deserve to get their stats shown. I mean, look at this. 514 total yards of offense for Bama State, 444 for Jackson. 257 on the ground for Jackson, 165 on the ground for Bama State, but 349 passing versus Jackson's 187. 29 first downs for Jackson State versus 25. I mean, the offenses came to play. Like, here's the thing. This is typically like normally in these type of games where you're giving up all these points and yards and first downs and all this stuff. I would try to bang hard on the defense. Pause. But I can't even do it because you had the two best offenses in the SWAC. You had the two best teams in the SWAC playing like the two best offenses, the two best teams, the two best quarterbacks. Both of them playing like they should have. And so when you have the excellent quarterback with the excellent offense, I typically like to go with them over the good defense. Not to say Jackson State or Bama State's defenses were bad. Coming into the game, they were good. They were actually really good. But I knew that neither defense would be able to stop the offense, either offense completely. Like neither defense was ever going to be able to shut down either offense. They were just too talented. And so it was about getting stops when you needed them to get stops. FAMU will rise again. Ooh, D-Bell. Ooh, we're going to get to them in a second because FAMU did not. Ooh. Yeah. Now, I will say North Carolina Central looks like the best team out of MEAC. But FAMU, boy, how the mighty have fallen. I mean, we're talking about a FAMU team that 2 years ago won the national championship. We're talking about 2 years ago won the freaking national championship. And today it's getting curb stomped by Coach Trey Oliver in North Carolina Central. Now, let's get back into this game. This game, Jackson State versus Alabama A&M. I mean, Alabama State, rather. They beat Alabama A&M last week. So Christopher said I was there. So in the stadium, I'm curious, for the people that were there like Christopher, on that last play. So if you don't know what Veronica said, the refs try to take it. Bama State, their clock management at the end of the game was questionable at best. It was so questionable at best. And Jay Walker actually was pointing it out on the broadcast. When they got their first down, instead of spiking it and saving time, they let the clock wind and they lost about 5 seconds there. And that 5 seconds at the time didn't seem like much, but at the end of the game, when you get tackled at the 2-yard line and you only have 1 second left, you wish you had those 5 seconds back, right? When you get tackled at the 2-yard line, some Jackson State fans saying the game's over. Jackson State is storming the field as if the game's over. They're on the field. Coach T.C. Taylor is livid. He's ripping the refs a new one, because he thinks the game is over. And there is properly, the refs are right. I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to get on them when they're wrong, but I'm with you when you're right. The refs properly put 1 second left back on the clock. 1 second, because that's all they needed, and that's all that should have been there. Bama State still had a timeout, and I thought they were about to go home with a loss, with a timeout in their pocket, and they would have been pissed at that. But nonetheless, they get their 1 second, and they get to run one play. And to me, this was the worst mistake they made all game. They run a quarterback, they run an option play to the short side of the field, and the running back goes in front of the quarterback, so he almost acts like as if a lead blocker, and Jackson State blew that up from the jump. I mean, hey, TC's guys wasn't ready for no other play. TC's guys was ready for that last play of the game. TC's boys was ready for that last play of the game, and I hated it so much for Bama State, because why call that? Why not call an RPO, put the ball in the hands of Andrew Body and say, go win me the game? Why not? Why go out with this limited action play to the short side of the field? I did not understand that at all. Sandra said it had me on the edge of my seat. Damn it, Sandra, you're right. Especially that last play, because Andrew Body, I'm telling you guys, he almost had 500 yards total offense by himself. He had over 400 yards of total offense by himself, and him with an RPO option, he was delivering the ball. He matriculated the ball all the way down the field on that last drive. Like, he matriculated the ball over all the way down the field to the 2-yard line to run. I know Eddie Robb. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, but I know Eddie Robb Jr., Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., is just beside himself. Like, why in the hell would I call that? Because one thing in the second half proved Jackson State couldn't stop Andrew Body. In the second half, JSU had zero answers for Andrew Body. Zero. They had none. The young man was able to do, especially on the last drive. The last drive, now it was boosted by a bad, terrible penalty by the kicker, I believe. The kicker on Jackson State, or the holder on the extra point, commits a penalty, gives Bama State free 15 yards on the kickoff return. Bama State drives it all the way down the field. Now, granted, questionable clock management, in my opinion, by Coach Eddie Robinson, but nonetheless, you have one play left to win the game from the 2-yard line, and to run an option play to the short side of the field just blew my mind. It just blew my freaking mind. Now, Christopher says everybody thought the game was over. And I understand that because the clocks, the way they made it seem on the broadcast is that now you tell me because you were at the game. Were the clocks in the arena working? Did the clocks in the arena work? Hit that thumbs up button, by the way. Thank you guys for joining me. We got 100 deep in here. Hit that thumbs up, by the way. Were the clocks in the building working? Because that I want to know. Because on the broadcast, you couldn't hear the referees, and they made it seem as if the clocks in the building weren't working. And so I'm curious as if if they were working and what that experience was like in the building, because it looked amazing. It looked amazing for homecoming. Yes, and it was at 0. Okay, so Veronica says yes, the clocks were working and it was at 0. But it on replay, that's why the benefit of watching it from home was that we got a chance to look at the replay. On replay, he went down. He went down with 1 second left. He did on the replay. He says body is all that they have. That's all. He was almost all that they needed. I mean, you could say he's all that they have. He was almost all that they needed, because to me, if they choose a better play, we're maybe having a different live show right now. Like if they run a different play and execute it better. Now, someone says, Jeff, talk about the Bama State getting extra touchdowns. What do you mean by getting extra touchdowns? Are you talking about extra time on the clock? Because Bama State, I will say, their clock management just drove me up a wall that last possession. Because the last possession, they went in with 3 timeouts. They went into the last possession with 3 timeouts. I told you they got the boost from the kickoff return because of the personal foul penalty Jackson State had on a freaking extra point, which is stupid. I know TC was pissed about that. The hell do you get get a penalty on a freaking extra point? And so they get those penalties, get that penalty, and it gives them free yards. Now, extra touchdowns, extra timeouts. Oh, okay. Extra timeouts. So I'm glad you caught that too. That was a long 1 second. I will give you that. So someone is saying that they got extra timeouts. I have to go back and watch because I felt that way too. So I'm glad I'm not tripping. So someone is saying it was a fifth. If it was a fifth, Tigers win. Absolutely. But you said they got extra timeout. I thought they got extra timeouts as well. Okay, so I'm not bugging. Somebody else felt like that there was some extra timeouts given there. Okay, I got you. Now, someone said, I'll take 5 touchdowns over 500 yards any day. And that, to me, is the sign of a champion. See, I told you in my last video that I produced, I said if JoCobian Morgan plays at this level, let me repeat, if JoCobian Morgan is able to play at this level, nobody is going to beat you. And tonight it proved it once again. And shout out to Joe Owens for the super chat. We appreciate that. Appreciate that always. Shout out to Joe. Hit that thumbs up button for everybody else. But Jackson State is unbeatable if JoCobian Morgan's going to play like this. Like, I mean, you don't have to have the 500. To your point, you don't have to have the 500 yards of total offense. But if you can get me 5 total touchdowns and you can manage the offense the way that JoCobian did, and you can find the open guy and you can make the right decisions, his turnover late hurt, because the turnover late at the end of the game gave them an extra opportunity. And then JoCobian converts the 3rd down on a pass to Nyland, and Nyland fumbles the ball. That has nothing to do with JoCobian. Jackson State, to me, almost lost the game because of that fumble. I'm just putting it out there. That fumble in the 4th quarter almost cost you the game. But you fumble. Bama State does what they're supposed to do. They take the ball. They take the lead. They take the lead in the 4th quarter. And what does JoCobian do? What does JoCobian and that offense do? They matriculate the ball down the field, essentially eat all the clock. They didn't eat all of it because Bama State, we saw what they did in the next possession, but they use up pretty much there was 4 minutes when they got the ball back. They gave the ball up with 50 seconds. I think it was actually 5 minutes. 5 minutes when Jackson State got the ball. They went into their 4-minute offense, scored a touchdown. JoCobian hit Nate Rembert. It was with a dot in the end zone. I thought they were actually going to use some more clock, but because he threw such a perfect pass and it was a great catch, you scored a touchdown there. You did your job. You walked off the field with a lead. That's all you ask for from a coach, as a coach. From your quarterback, can you, down three, you walk off the field with a lead? That's more than enough. JoCobian did his job. Didn't panic. He turned it over, and then his wide receiver turned it over, and he didn't freaking panic. Didn't panic. Went down there, matriculated the ball all the way down the field, scores a touchdown, wins them the freaking game. Defense holds on, wins the game. That's how you do it. That's what you want from your senior quarterback. That today, TC is more proud of JoCobian Morgan maybe than any other point during their time together. Maybe even more so than the Celebration Bowl. Because the Celebration Bowl, Jackson State kind of controlled that from the jump. The Celebration Bowl, Jackson State really it was their game to lose. This game had adversity. You're up. They come back. Their quarterback is having the game of his life. Well, just another day in the park for him. Andrew Body's been killing it all year. Their quarterback's having this amazing game on the other side. Your wide receiver just fumbled the ball and cost us the lead. Your wide receiver just fumbled the ball, just cost us the lead. What do you do? What are you going to do, JoCobian? What are you going to do, TC? What are you going to do, Jackson State? Well, we saw what they did. Hey, I'm going to take this ball. I'm going to matriculate it down the field. I'm going to act like that turnover never happened. I'm going to give all my guys equal opportunity, and we're going to put this ball in the freaking end zone. That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. OMG. That was a close game. The game was amazing. Now, somebody said something that I was thinking too during this game, because this also changed the game. Someone said, oh, did the comment go away? There it is. Give Mr. Miller the damn ball. Yes. There's too many. Now, here's the thing. Y'all know I'm a backseat coach. I'm a couch coach. I'm not going to tell a national champion how to run his team. I'm not going to tell a national champion what he should do. I'm talking to y'all. I ain't talking to TC because TC's a champion. I can't tell TC what to do, but I'm talking to y'all. When I'm watching the game, do y'all not feel like Ahmad Miller don't be getting the ball enough? I feel like the fourth quarter flipped when they started handing him the ball. They started to give, after the fumble and Bama State takes the lead, they started handing Ahmad the ball again. And guess what? Boop, boop, boop. First down. Right? Like they started handing Ahmad the ball again. First down. Just hear it. Running dudes over. Talking cash. Refs got to separate them. I need that. I need Ahmad. I need him to get the ball. I want to see, yes, Miller time 27. Absolutely. I want to see him to continue to tote the rock. Don't go away from him. Don't just go to him when you need him. Don't just go to him when you're down. I get it. Davenport can play. I get it. Travis Terrell can play. Travis Terrell's one of the most explosive players on your team. The wide receivers, you have wide receivers galore. Whether it's Dupree, Nyland, Savage, Rembert, you got dudes everywhere. But I'd like to see when 27 gets the ball. Good things happen when 27 gets the ball. Yes, Miller averages 67. I think on the season he came into the game, I think averaging close to 8 yards a carry. He came into this game averaging close to 8 yards a carry. Keep giving him the ball. Keep giving him the ball. Don't go away from him. Davenport is good. Travis Terrell is good. Ahmad Miller pretty good too. Ahmad Miller pretty freaking good too. Now they scheme for a Miller. Okay, and I understand it. But what did that scheme mean at the end of the game when they decided to hand him the freaking ball? The scheme didn't mean a damn thing. That man was 10 yards a pop, 12 yards a pop, 8 yards a pop. He was boom, 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 just running dudes over, letting them know about themselves. Letting them know, like, hey, ain't nothing y'all can do with me. Y'all winning right now, for now, because it was literally for now. And then the lead changed. He's just a dog. You're right, Veronica. He is. And this game, it does so much. One, shout out to both teams because this game got bumped up to ESPNU, right? And I know there's the cable deal and people feel however they feel about ESPN and Yard Talk. Shout out to my girl. She's going to talk about it. She's going to bring it up. And I get it. I understand that. But when you're on a platform like ESPNU, it's always great. It's always better to have a showcase of a game like this than some kind of trash game, than some kind of referee decided game. No, to have your two best teams in your conference and to play like the two best teams in your conference. Job well done. Job well done to Coach T.C. Taylor. Job well done to Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. because both of these teams were prepared. Both of these teams came out and played top-notch ball. Now, you might say, Jeff, one team gave up 38 points, one team gave up 34 points. Well, that's because of the high level of offense, a high level of quarterbacking. See, this is what happens when SWAC teams, HBCU teams, go out and get quarterbacks, and these quarterbacks are able to stay with their coaches for multiple years. Albeit Andrew Body got knocked out and hurt the first game of the season last year. He's been under this coach in the system for 2 years. We know JoCobian was a champion last year, and this is another year under Coach T.C. Taylor at Jackson State. And what happens when you have your quarterback for multiple years? What happens when you have the same coaching staff with the same quarterback for multiple years? What happens when both of these coaches, quarterbacks, and staffs all come together for multiple years and get together at a homecoming game? At Jackson State, you get this type of product. Two well-coached football teams who played like well-coached football teams with big-time quarterbacks that go out there and played like big-time quarterbacks. These are the results you get. These are the type of competitions that you get. And I can't get enough I can't talk enough about both of these players, man. I mean, look at Andrew Body's stats. 20 of 30, 349 passing yards, one bad interception. And shout out to Ivory. Ivory made a hell of a play. Quincy Ivory made a hell of a play to intercept that ball. One bad interception that cost them some points, but just an utter dominant performance. Then you go over to JoCobian. He had 7 incompletions, guys. He had 7 incompletions and 4 touchdowns. 7 incompletions and 4 freaking touchdowns. That's how dominant he was. That's how dominant he was, man. And I can't say enough about what was taking place. He said Travis Terrell out there giving drop kicks better than Randy Orton. Yeah, I was interested if they were going to call a penalty on that. So that happened, and I saw one of the, I didn't think they would, but one of the Bama State guys was trying to throw, ask for a penalty, and it didn't come. And I was like, ooh, thank you, Jesus, they didn't call a penalty, because that would have been terrible. Freaking terrible. Hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, subscribe. Share this video. Share this video because we're having a good time in here. Said Body never beat J State. And that's got to eat at him. That's got to eat at him because he had an opportunity. This was the closest he had at any stop he ever had. This was the closest he had to beat Jackson State. And the thing about this game, the reason why this game is massive for Jackson State and for Bama State, but it's really massive for Jackson State because they won't play another quarterback that talented. No matter how far they go, they will not play another quarterback that is playing that well on the football field. They're not going to play, like in their remaining games, they have Grambling in a couple of weeks. You have FAMU the week after that, Valley, and Bethune-Cookman. Now, Bethune-Cookman is putting up a lot of points on offense. Bethune-Cookman has been scoring a ton of points. I'm not going to act like Bethune ain't been out here, putting up some points. But you're not going to play a quarterback as talented as Andrew Body the rest of the way. And with this win, this gives you Front Street to host the SWAC championship game at Jackson once again. It gives you the 2-game lead over Bama State in your division. You puts you in the catbird seat the rest of the way to host, not just be in the SWAC championship game, but to host the SWAC championship game once again for the 3rd time in however many years, or for the 4th time in 5 years. You could potentially host the SWAC championship game. And once again, it gives you your toughest test that you'll see until you potentially play in the Celebration Bowl. Once again, am I tripping? Or the stats wrong? I thought Morgan had 5 touchdowns. He did have 5 touchdowns. They left one. I think, yes, he did have 5 touchdowns. Bethune is pretty good offensively. Bethune, that to me has been one of the shockers of the SWAC, is the way the Bethune is playing. And yes, they can score a bunch of points. I don't think that they aren't more dominant and more explosive than Bama State. I don't think the quarterback play is better than Andrew Body at Bama State. And I don't think their offense, both running backs, offensive line, and wide receivers, are better than what you just saw at Bama State. And because they are so good, to your point, Mr. Bayless, because Bethune is so talented offensively, this game against Bama State is the precursor and allows you to get ready to see what it's like playing one of the most explosive offenses in the conference. You already had that test. You already had the test of stopping one of the best quarterbacks in the conference. You already had the test of stopping, or the task of stopping, or at least trying to stop one of the best quarterbacks in the conference, one of the best offenses in the conference. To me, one of the best offensive lines in the conference. And you survived it. You survived it. You came away on top. You got the dub. And now, with that, in your game plan, with that in your resume, with that feather in your cap, you take that with you the rest of the way. You take that with you, and you get a bye week to reflect on all of this, to really garner the information that you need to garner. And you have a few games before you get to a team like Bethune who's playing out of their minds on the offensive side of the ball. Anyway, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up button. And somebody said quad brown body, let's shake the table. Ooh, I don't know about that. Are you sure you want to say that? Andrew Body just almost had 500 total yards of offense. He almost had 500. Do we got to show the stats again? He almost had 500 total yards of offense. I don't know if you're going to say quad brown better than that. That young man was 1 yard away from winning this game. He was one. So I'm just saying. Someone commented, I personally don't think JSU defense played up to their potential. And they didn't. That's the other thing. This game was a teaching point. Jackson State gave up way too many big plays. The one that comes to mind off the jump, you're up 2 possessions, right? And Bama State has, if I'm not mistaken, has a drive that was under a minute. You're up 2 possessions in the fourth quarter, and Bama State then has a drive that's under a minute to cut it back down to 1 possession that fast. And then that's when the fumble happened and they scored and took the lead. It all happened within 2 minutes because they were able to score so fast. That to me is bad on the JSU defense. That to me, I get it. Andrew Body was amazing, but there were way too many missed tackles out there. There were way too many big plays that were given up because of just missed tackles. It wasn't like guys were out of alignment. It wasn't like guys didn't know their assignment. They just didn't execute. There were too many plays out there that Jackson State defense didn't execute and didn't bring guys to the ground. You do that, you're talking about a totally different game. You're talking about a totally different game if you're able to bring guys to the ground when you tackle them. A lot of missed tackles. Yes, there was a lot of missed tackles. There were. And that's something they're going to talk about during this bye week. That's going to be a key during this bye week, because if you tackle these guys, or if these possessions aren't so quick, then this maybe is a different game. Maybe you win this game by more than 4 points. Maybe you win this game by more than 1 possession. Maybe you're not having to make a goal line stand with 1 second left on the clock to end the game to win the game. Now, granted, I'm saying all of this about the JSU defense, and they held their ground. They gave up the plays to get Bama State down to the 1 yard line, or to the 2 yard line with 1 second left. They gave up those plays. But when the game was on the line, when it mattered the most, they came away with a dub. When it mattered the most, hey, us versus them. They have 1 yard to win the game. They have 1 yard that can ruin our season. 1 yard can change the trajectory of our season. Because if Jackson State loses this game, right? Jackson State loses this game, they no longer control their destiny. They now need help. They now need Bama State to drop one of these games, because now you have a loss. And we know that the winner of the SWAC the last 3 times, the last 4 winners of the SWAC, 3 by Jackson State, 1 by FAMU, the last 4 winners of the SWAC didn't have a conference loss. And so by Jackson State making that goal line stand, I'm telling you, the defense had a bunch of missed tackles, and they did not live up to their potential. They have way more potential. They have way more talent than what they displayed out there today. And I say all of that to say there was 1 play that could have ruined their season, could have ruined everything that they wanted to accomplish. And that defense stepped up and kept them from getting that 1 yard, kept them from getting those 2 yards. I you know what I mean? Like, so I can't bash. They gave up 34 freaking points and over 500 yards of offense. But at the end of the game, defense, Coach T.C. Taylor, there was a timeout because they was certain that they was getting all the clock right. They was getting all the clock stuff together. And in that timeout, I'm sure Coach T.C. Taylor went over to his guys and said, you get this stop. I'd imagine he said, you get this stop, not only do we win this game, but if I'm him, I don't know if he said this. Let me make sure I quote. This is not a quote from TC, but I would bet a lot of money that he told this team, at least maybe not before the play, but he definitely was thinking after the play and when they made the play, is that may have just won us a national championship. That stop right there, that stop of that, like, this is how big this is. Jackson State loses this game, they no longer control their destiny. Now you need help from Bama State. But that stop right there may have just won them a national freaking championship, because you get that stop. Now you hold your own cards. You hold the cards to your own destiny to potentially host a SWAC championship game, play in the SWAC championship game, and then potentially punch your ticket to the national championship, which is the Cricket Celebration Bowl. You don't get that stop. You don't get that stop. Who knows if all of that still is on the table? Jackson State is 5-1, but their one loss is at a conference. Yes, I know they're 5-1, but they're undefeated in conference. And so that stop may have just won you a national championship. Obviously, we still have a lot of football to play, right? Like, I'm not going crazy, right? But that stop may have just won you a national championship. That's how champions are built. That's what we call a championship freaking play. To make that stop at the 2-yard line. To make that stop with the hottest quarterback in the country. This team has 500 yards total offense. You have one stop to not give up 2 yards, and you do it. You knock him out at the 1. It's a championship level play. A championship level freaking play. Jackson State tackles too high. I believe so. I believe so. At least at times they do. They didn't tackle too high that last play. Let me read some of your comments. Keep shooting over the comments. Hit that like button. We got almost 200 people in here. Hit that like button. Let everybody know that we're in here. Said that game shouldn't have been close. We let them hang around. I mean, you can say that, but the missed tackles, the big plays by Bama State, the big plays by Andrew Body, the turnovers sway games, man. Turnovers sway freaking games. And that turnover in the fourth quarter almost cost you the game. It almost cost you the game. But you had JoCobian Morgan on your side. That's the key to having a veteran quarterback, a championship level quarterback, a championship winning quarterback, because he made championship winning plays at the end of the game. Let's see. Mikey says, in my personal opinion, I feel as if ASU is just that good, JSU found a way to win. Body played as advertised. JoCobian did what needed to be done at the moment. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. Here's why JoCobian, and I want to give him flowers, man. I don't want to undersell the job that JoCobian did, not just during the entirety of the game, because, he balled out during the entirety of the game. But I'm talking about that fourth quarter. Bama State had all the momentum, guys. Like Bama State, that fourth quarter, let me see something real quick. Because that fourth quarter, Bama State had all the momentum. They had just scored back-to-back touchdowns in under 2 minutes, including a touchdown drive that they had of their own where they went 75 yards, I believe, in like 40 seconds. And then JoCobian completes a first down pass. His wide receivers try to make a play and fumbles the ball. And Bama State gets it back, and in 2 plays is in the end zone again. And for JoCobian to see all of that, see the game flip on his head, literally go from being up to being down in a matter of 2 minutes, 2 game minutes, and to say, we're all right. I got us. We're good. Don't worry about it. And just matriculate the ball down the field. Can we not act like that's not impressive? Are we going to act like that's not impressive? Like that young man didn't take the ball down and just go all the way down the field in 4 minutes and scored a touchdown and put the touchdown and essentially won them the game? That's the touchdown. Because if you kick a field goal, because this is the difference between kicking a field goal right there and scoring a touchdown. You kick a field goal right there, it's a tie ball game. You kick a field goal right there, it's a tie freaking ball game. Andrew Body, you saw what he did. He drives the length of the field and kicks a field goal, and they win the game. But because JoCobian and Ahmad Miller and Nate Rembert and the rest of that JSU offense said, nah, we're not going to put this in the refs' hands. We're not going to put this on the leg of our kicker. We're not going to hope that the refs, cut us a deal or whatever. Nah, we're going to go win this game. And we're going to win the game by putting the ball in the end zone. Job well done. Job well freaking done. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Because once again, if you kick the field goal, and even if you make it, you're hoping that your defense can stop the hottest quarterback in the conference. You're hoping that your defense can get enough stops in a prevent style that prevents them from getting in field goal range. Not scoring a touchdown and stopping them at the 1 like you eventually did. No, you kick a field goal. They just need a field goal to win the game. But instead, because you scored a touchdown, it forced them to have to score a touchdown, and your defense made enough plays to keep them out of the end zone. Your defense made enough plays to keep them out of the end zone. Thanks for this is the Grambling, Texas Southern scored at halftime. Texas Southern up 1 point over Grambling. Grambling, of course, is JSU's next opponent. Sonic says, I knew we were going to score. I had a good feeling they were going to score 2, but I was hoping it was a touchdown and not a field goal because I just told you the scenario. Andrew Body was it was hot as a firecracker. I was like, yo, a field goal, you're probably going to lose the game. You kick a field goal, you're going to lose. You score a touchdown, you have a better chance of winning. Obviously, it doesn't mean you're going to win because they were 1 yard away from winning, but you have an insurmountably a better chance of winning the game. And that's what happened. You came away with a win. Hit that thumbs up button, by the way. Read some more of your comments. It says, I'll take the W. I'm going to praise the guys for staying with it. They could have easily given up. They couldn't stop JSU offense. They could have easily scored each time they had the possession. Yeah. JSU, man, look, I've kind of come to this conclusion. The Jackson State, if they don't turn the ball over, they're pretty much going to score whenever they want to. Like I've pretty much come to the conclusion that if Jackson State doesn't turn the ball over, they can pretty much score whenever they want. They can pretty much score at will. They can score because they just have too many weapons. They have the best offensive line in the conference. And then in your backfield, you have a 3, maybe 4-headed monster, if you want to count Matthews. And Travis Terrell, Ahmad Miller, Davenport, and if you want to count Matthews, you have a 3, maybe 4-headed monster. You have a quarterback that was preseason player of the year in the conference and is played like the preseason player of the year. And at wide receiver, I can go Dupree. I can go Nyland, even though, he tried to cost me the game. Shamar Savage. Or I can go Nate Rembert. And when they're healthy, you can go Kobe Ball and different guys like that. Like you have so many weapons galore. And a quarterback that is seeing the field better than any other time he's been in college. A quarterback that is playing the best ball of his career right now. And that has the wherewithal to know if I don't play my best ball, there's that Lockhart kid that started the game against Tuskegee. And that dude can play. And if I don't bring my A game, like think about this. Shout out to Joe, man. Hit the like button. But JoCobian, ever since he saw Lockhart play that game against Tuskegee, JoCobian has played out of his mind. Ever since JoCobian saw Lockhart play that game against Tuskegee, he has literally played out of his mind. He has literally played some of the best ball of his career. And so shout out to Lockhart for being awesome in that Tuskegee game and lighting a fire under JoCobian's butt. And JoCobian saying, okay, I'm going to just take this out on the rest of the SWAC. I'm going to just take this out on every defense that lines up across from me. I'm going to literally take this out on whoever lines up across from me. And that to me is beautiful because his combination of being able to run the ball, like that big long run he had in the second quarter, third quarter, and pass the ball, like for the 4 or 5 touchdowns he threw today, makes JSU, and when their defense is playing the way it should be. Now, every week you're not going to play Andrew Body. So you're not going to give up 34 points and 500 yards of offense. But when JSU's defense is playing the way that it typically plays, and JoCobian now playing the way that he is playing, balling out of control, it's a beautiful thing to watch. It is a beautiful thing to watch. Mikey says JoCobian has looked calm the last 3 weeks. Looked like he's been in complete control of the game. Yes, he has. That's the thing. It doesn't just look like it. It's because he actually has. He has been in complete control of every game he's played in since the day that Lockhart made that start against Tuskegee. JoCobian has been a completely different player. Hal says, great teams are great when they have to be, and that's why they're called champions. Yes, and JSU played like a champion today. They played like a champion when they needed it the most. Think about it. 2 biggest possessions of the game for JSU. You're down 3. You're down 3 with roughly 4 minutes left in the game. And your quarterback drives you down, scores a touchdown. Now, Bama State has 3 timeouts. They have 3 timeouts. They can go anywhere on the field because first down, stop the clock. Your defense, 1 stop to potentially keep your championship hopes alive because you have to win a SWAC championship to be able to win a Celebration Bowl. So 1 stop to potentially keep your Celebration Bowl championship hopes alive, to keep your SWAC championship hopes alive in front of your homecoming crowd, in front of the guys who won the national championship last year for JSU because it was ring day. It was homecoming. It was a celebration for the rings. We had ring ceremonies. Guys popped out with their championship jackets and championship rings pregame. Did y'all see them JSU rings? It was ring day. Ring me. Give me my ring. Guys showed up, showed out, popped out for the rings. This is what they were celebrating. So you got folks in the crowd that are celebrating championship rings. Can't lose in front of them, right? Can't lose after dominating and get you. Come on. Can't lose, right? Right. That's exactly what they championship champions. A champion-style defensive stop on the 2-yard line. Push them out at the 1. Win the freaking game. Go win it. Win it in front of the national champs. Win it in front of your teammates from last year. Win it in front of your championship fans. Win it for homecoming. Win it in front of your alumni that's back in Jackson for this weekend and one weekend only. Go win the freaking ball game. That's exactly what they did. It's exactly what they freaking did, man. Golly. That game was, if y'all can't tell, that game was turned, man. I loved every freaking second. Every freaking second in that freaking game, man. Oh my God, it was so awesome. Jay Walker said they were gaudy. My God, he hates. Jay Walker do be wanting somebody else to win. You can tell. So Tiff is a FAMU gal. So Tiffany Green is a pros pro, and she's a FAMU gal, and she's pretty good at keeping it in. Like she's actually really good, impressive, keeping her FAMU whatever potential bias or whatever in during her broadcast. Jay is a Howard guy. He never keeps his Howard bias in. He loves Howard. He tells you from the jump. But then also, I think he's tired of Jackson State winning all the time. So you got to think, at least before I came into this space, Jackson State was struggling, like the years of them broadcasting coming into, and then you had Deion. And Deion, since then, it's flipped on his head. Obviously, they've been winning, and in a lot of cases, dominating post Deion. Then you had the first year after Deion, and they struggled. And you could tell, you could hear it in Jay's voice. And a lot of those games, he had a little more giddy. And then, since TC said, nah, forget that version of Jackson State. I'm going back to the version where we win and we win championships and we bust people's tail last year. And last year you saw, maybe he wasn't so turned. And TC went back to, whooping ass and taking names. And now it's like, okay, JSU. But he was hyped though, because he thought Coach Eddie Robinson Jr., he thought he had him a dub today. Jay thought Eddie Rob had a dub today. But Jay wasn't too happy. He wasn't too happy at that clock management by them at the end of the game. The clock management in Bama State, bro. The clock management drew me crazy. Because once again, that's not to say Jackson State wouldn't have been able to make a stop just like they did. But man, you would have made them defend for longer. You would have forced them to defend for longer. Riri says, Jeff, I'm still on my oxygen machine from the game. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you and your oxygen machine. Hey, you getting your money's worth today. You are getting your money's worth today because JSU came away with, I think, the game. This is the game of the year. Because here's the thing. I think at least until FAMU makes a move and does something, because FAMU ain't it right now. I don't know if Coach Colsey has to go or somebody on his staff has to go, but FAMU don't need to. Like, it's one thing to be losing. It's another thing to be getting embarrassed. FAMU can't be getting embarrassed like that. They've had too much history, especially recent history, to be getting embarrassed the way that they did by Coach Trey Oliver in North Carolina Central. But nonetheless, Alabama State's JSU's new rival. Like, they're JSU's new FAMU. How FAMU was from the years with Willie and Deion and Willie and Willie and TC, how he was at FAMU, those Orange Blossom Classics, those classic Orange Blossom Classics, even the brutal one, the one where JSU won by 50, FAMU and JSU always brought it. They brought it from the fanfare. They brought it in the crowd. They brought it on the field for the most part, except for that one where JSU won by 50. Bama State has now turned into that. Bama State, of course, has started with who's SWAC, he ain't SWAC, the call out of Deion years ago. And then they beat Jackson State the next year, right? Like they beat Jackson State, not last year, but the year before. That year we talked about the supernatural funk Jackson State was in for 1 year. They're just in a supernatural funk for 1 year, just 1 year, but they were in a funk. And Bama State actually got the dub that year. And now they come, Jackson State hasn't lost a game in conference. They count it. Haven't lost the conference game, they count it. They lost the Grambling, but they didn't count in conference. They lost the game, they counted in a couple of years. And Bama State was 1 yard from making it happen. And just you hate to see it. You hate to freaking see it. Let me read some more of your comments. Jay was definitely rooting for ASU. Yeah, he wanted them to win, man. I think he's kind of tired of Coach TC Taylor and the Tigers winning all the time. Said game was fire. You had to be there. I can't, man. I cannot wait till my next trip to Jackson. I cannot wait till I get a chance. I work on weekends now. That's why I haven't been doing more of these and why you haven't been seeing me comment as much on the games. But golly, I cannot wait to get there. Let me read. Let me see. Let's see. This year with body might be. So you make a good point here. So this on paper sounds absurd, but Sonic Boom makes a point right here. I don't think it'll be their last shot. It was definitely their best shot, though. So to his point, because Andrew Body, technically, I don't even know. I don't know how much eligibility he has left. But I thought last year was supposed to be his last year. He obviously gets hurt and gets another year this year. Because you have Andrew Body in the way, not just because you have Andrew Body, but the level that he's playing. Because he's playing at such a high level, this was your best shot. Without question, because you don't know because the transfer portal and the disgusting nature of the transfer portal, you don't know what your roster is going to look like next year. Like the guys that are balling out for your team, if you're Bama State, next year are going to be in the portal, and are you going to be able to retain them? Because your best players over the last few years, you haven't been able to retain. Bill Krosky Merritt, right? Better known as Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. He now plays for the Commanders. He's at Bama State. We're able to keep him. Went off to New Mexico. Keyshawn Johnson. He was at Bama State. We weren't able to keep him. He went on to my alma mater, WKU. So your group of guys that has you scoring 40 points a game, that has you averaging 400-something yards per game, all those dudes, it's going to be hard to retain them because the only team that's shown that they can retain players is the team you just lost to, Jackson State. They're able to retain Ahmad Miller. They're able to retain JoCobian Morgan. They're able to retain Travis Terrell. They're able to retain Nate Rembert, even after he goes there and enters the portal and is courted by FBS teams. Bama State and other SWAC schools, not just them, I'm not picking on them, but they haven't shown that they'll be able to retain their top-tier talent. And so to Sonic Boom's point, I don't think it was their last shot, but it definitely was their best shot because you could potentially be breaking in a new quarterback next year that ain't named Andrew Body that's going to be able to give you 500 yards of offense. The chances are you're breaking in a quarterback that can't provide you 500 yards of total freaking offense. Whereas Jackson State just showed you, once again, I keep referencing that Tuskegee game because what Jackson State showed in that Tuskegee game is they're setting up their quarterback of the future. They're set. And once again, he's not going to be JoCobian. He's not going to be a fifth-year JoCobian next season. But if Jackson State is able to hold on to Lockhart, which they've shown that they are able to actually do, they showed you their quarterback of the future. And they're going to be ushering him in. And he won't be able to put up a performance like JoCobian just did, but he'll be able to perform a really good. He'll be able to perform really freaking good because he showed you as a true freshman in that Tuskegee game. Granted, Tuskegee's D2. Tuskegee doesn't have the players JSU got. I got all of that. But it was his first start of his collegiate career, and he balled the freak out. He balled the hell out. And that's why Bama State, this was your best shot. I'm just saying that this was your best freaking shot. Shout out to my boy Mark Wall, man. I saw you in here, man. Shout out to you, dog. That's my dog, man. Let me read some more of your comments, then I'm going to wrap this thing on up, man. But y'all have been awesome. Y'all have been awesome, especially for my first time back. Over 200 people, 200 live viewers, man. I appreciate y'all like crazy. Hit that thumbs up button. We got to do more of these, man, because I missed y'all, man. I missed y'all, especially talking about these games. Body's finna get posted. Does Body have more time? Does he have more eligibility left? Somebody let me know that in the chat. Does he have more eligibility left? I thought he was done after this season. If he's not done, here's the thing. If Andrew Body has another, and he probably will never see this, but maybe he will. I don't know. If Andrew Body does have another year of eligibility, obviously he's going to have suitors. And he's going to have suitors with big money. I mean, let's not get it twisted. When these guys hit the portal and leave their schools, they're not leaving just because they love Western Kentucky University more than you love Bama State, Keyshawn Johnson. You love what Western Kentucky and other schools can provide versus what you are provided at Bama State or Jackson State or FAMU or Bethune-Cookman or Grambling or whatever. This message goes to Andrew Body, though. If he does have another year eligibility and he's able to come back to Bama State, I get it. You can make a lot more money going somewhere else. I strongly have you consider going back to Bama State, man. This is the best you've ever looked in college, ever. It's not guaranteed that this will happen. Then once again, this is all predicated on A, if he has another year eligibility, and B, if he decides to move on. It's not guaranteed that the grass is always greener somewhere else. Once again, it's not guaranteed that the grass is always greener somewhere else if you decide to leave. But if you do have eligibility and you go back to Bama State, I can promise you that experience will be worth it. That experience will be worth it, especially from what I saw from him today. Hit that thumbs up button. Let me read some more of your comments, and I'm going to get out of here. TC said JoCobian caught the last TD play himself. He said he had a play that'll work. Well, once again, proves my point. This proves my earlier point. If shout out to Flacco for dropping that in there. If JoCobian called the last play himself, that is the importance of having a quarterback and a coach that have been together. That is the importance of having a quarterback and a coach that have been in big games together. That is the importance of having a quarterback and a coach that have won a freaking championship together. Because that was a championship level play. That was a championship level play. And he put the ball almost in a dangerous spot. But it's in a spot like, hey, I believe in my wide receiver. I believe in Nate over those guys. I believe that Nate can make a play over those dudes. I believe that Nate is there where he's supposed to be, and then Nate is going to make that play. And I'm going to give Nate a chance. I'm going to throw the perfect ball to where Nate has a chance to make a play. And he did just that. He did just that. Body put on a Tom Brady S 2-minute drill in 50 freaking seconds. Yes, he did. He scores in 50 seconds. They get a fumble, and then they score in two plays. That Andrew Body is a man. He's a man amongst boys. He is a problem. He is a freaking problem. Now, who did Bama State lose to in conference this year? Who did? Let me see. Let me see really quick. 1 second. Hit that thumbs up button too, by the way. Let me see. Who did Alabama State lose to in conference this year? Like, I know they lost to UAB. And then they lost to, I know they lost to U. Oh, so this was their loss to UAB. Let me see. They beat Southern, beat Miles, beat FAMU, beat Bethune. Oh, so they only have one loss. So they only have the one loss. This was their second loss. Okay, so yeah. Okay, I was like, they didn't lose anybody in conference. Yeah, okay, no one. Yeah, no one. Thank you. They only lost to UAB. Some reason in my brain, I was thinking that they lost somebody. So yeah, so TC said JoCobian called that play himself. JoCobian really called that play himself? Yeah, TC said after the game in the interview, the general called the play. I mean, that is growth, man. Like, that is freaking growth. That's scary. That's scary for the rest of the conference, for the rest of the league, for everybody else left on the schedule. And that's even scary for you, North Carolina Central, because North Carolina Central, to me, looks like the cream of the crop of the MEAC. I think Delaware State is interesting, though. Delaware State is interesting. South Carolina State is still having the same issues. Delaware State is interesting. North Carolina Central looks like the cream of the crop. North Carolina Central looks like they let one get away from them last year. Let's take it back. For the last 2 years, North Carolina Central feel like they've let the conference get away from them. For the last 2 years, since they last won the Celebration Bowl, they feel like they've let the conference get away from them twice. Obviously, when FAMU won it, North Carolina Central lost. They still had their quarterback, who was a monster, and then they lost to Howard. Howard gets a share of the MEAC title, and Howard represents in the Celebration Bowl against FAM. And then last year, they lost to South Carolina State, and South Carolina State wins the MEAC and gets to represent the MEAC in the Celebration Bowl. And they obviously lost to Jackson State. So North Carolina Central feels like they should have either won the last two Celebration Bowls or at least been there. They definitely feel like they at least should have been there. And they haven't even made an appearance. And so that's the team I think JSU is going to face. If they make it to the Celebration Bowl, that's the team I think is going to represent the MEAC. But do not sleep on South Carolina State and or Delaware State. Both of them are really, really good. Yeah, someone said, yeah, they lost us. Yeah, I get that. I know. Some reason I thought they lost. Some reason in my brain, I knew they hadn't lost the conference game. But some reason in my brain, I kept telling myself that they had, and I don't know why. But yeah, they just lost to Jackson State, and JSU is now has in the catbird seat to represent the SWAC once again in the Celebration Bowl. I've held you guys for almost an hour. I appreciate all of you for tuning in to my first live stream, and who knows how long. It's been a while, but I promise you we won't go that long again without doing another live stream. There's over 200 of you guys joining me today, so thank you for joining me. We'll do these weekly, man. We got to get back on them weekly. Jackson State's on a bye week, but we'll be back at some point next week doing another one of these live streams, talking about all things Jackson State, all things SWAC, and all things HBCU football. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button. Before we get out of here, I'm gonna read some more of your tweets and your comments. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Peace.